Hey, y'all, listen, happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Listen, we made it to pretty much the end of the Diddy trial. Next week is going to be in the jury's hands, okay, for them to make a decision on guilt or not guilt. But listen, I'm glad you're here spending time with me. It's Trending Topics Friday, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is simple. It's called What in the World? Hold on one second, because I had something in my mouth I had to take out. Okay, so the title's called What in the World? What in the world? Okay, so we got the Diddy trial closing arguments from the defense. Mark, he's the lead attorney, and he closed this thing out. He said this was what did he call it? A modern day love affair, or something like that, between Cassie and Diddy. I don't know if I would have used those words, but those are words that Mark used, so we're going to just roll with it. We're going to talk about these closing arguments. Yes, we are. We're going to talk about these closing arguments. And all I can say is, oh my, okay? And then we're only doing 2 stories a night. We're keeping it short. We're keeping it small. We're keeping it simple. And the other story that we're going to talk about is this mom gave her kids edibles, and she also, my sound is breaking up, y'all. Somebody else tell me, is my sound breaking up? Because I'm not seeing anything breaking up. Usually I see it on my screen acting up, and I know. Well, let me know if my sound is breaking up. Best IBK said my sound is breaking up. I thought I was doing good tonight. Okay, TM Side says no. Okay, I think I'm doing good tonight. I think that, the internet is on my side for Friday night. Okay, so this mom gets her kids edibles. One was 6, one was 10. I think the other one was 11. That's why the title is called What in the World? She wanted to give them edibles because she said that what did this chick say? She said that she wanted to prevent them from deter them from smoking Mary Jane. She even had a 1-year-old that she was breastfeeding, and she said while she was breastfeeding, she was taking the edibles and doing all kinds of stuff. She was doing the most. The kid, I think it was the 6-year-old, went to the school, told the school. They tested the 6-year-old, and sure enough, THC was in the blood. But I don't understand how she only got 120 days in jail. And listen, let's be clear. You wonder why you waking up to the people doing the Diddy stuff, smoking, drinking, carrying on, acting a fool. They saw it somewhere first. They saw it somewhere first. You in your house, you only 6 and 10 and 11, and your mother giving you the vape so you could take you a hit too, take you a smoke. Where were the fathers? Or the father? I'm sorry. I don't know how many baby fathers she have, if she's just one or whatever, but where is the father? Well, they took the kids away from her, but I still don't understand how she only got 120 days. They said Diddy looked a little nervous in the court today. I think because it came real to him. In a few days, he gonna know his fate. And many people kept asking me, well, Diva, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think this jury gonna come back with? I don't know. I don't know. And I told y'all the reason why I don't know. When you got Jonathan Majors running away from a chick on videotape and they still find him guilty? Amaya, I don't know. I don't know. This thing is crazy. But let me say this before I bring the panel in. These are just diva thoughts right now. You got the prosecution saying that Cassie Ventura and Jane Doe, they was afraid they couldn't leave. Cassie had her own apartment. What trafficking victim do you know is getting a stipend every month, lives in their own high-rise apartment, can come and go as they please, and in between had some boyfriends? Every time I hear of trafficking, the only way these people get rescued is by the police. Yeah, what happened to her was horrific. But y'all gonna pass out right now. She signed up for it, and so did Jane Doe. You had opportunities where you could have left. And you know, it's interesting. They said their fear was he always threatened to put out the tapes. Well, what's interesting was when she left, he didn't put out no tapes of her. He didn't distribute the tapes on the streets, because eventually she left with the trainer that he hired. I'm just trying to understand how a man you say y'all was so afraid of, you could not tell him no, but when you left to be with your husband, you told him no. When you had your time with Kid Cudi, you told him no, and he didn't put the tapes out in the streets. So there were times you said no. And Jane Doe, you were the perfect one to go to the police, because they would have definitely believed you by then, because at that point, they already raided his homes. Listen, guys, it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. Time will tell, and we don't got too much time before it's told. The story is told, because they're also saying the courts are closed next Thursday, Friday. So at the very latest, we're going to know on Wednesday what this verdict is. We're going to see how this goes down. Listen, people, the trial may have gone differently if the video had never come out. That I agree with. But that's why they put it out. And you know, they're never going to tell us the true story as to how it got out. And I guess in some way, shape, or form, it don't matter. But I think it got out by Cassie. It was in Cassie's arsenal of stuff that she had. I think Cassie gave it. And as quiet as it's kept, I think most of those videos of the freak offs came from Cassie's stuff too, versus from when they raided his home. Those are just diva thoughts. Yeah, the math ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing. But I also feel like the defense should have came a little harder with a defense. That's just me. And I understand that it's up to the prosecution to put down their case, but sometimes you got people that are going to be confused. If I'm defending you, I'm going to make sure when you go to deliberate, there's no confusion. I'm going to do it in my closing arguments, but I'm also going to do it during the trial. When they would have tossed that case in my lap, I would have found somebody. I don't care if I had to dig them up out of crevices to come and speak on Diddy's behalf. They got a whole S worker out here now saying Cassie was enforced to do nothing. They should have got that man to come speak. Now, yes, he would have had to been cross-examined, but it was already out. And I guess maybe not, because I mean, he wouldn't have had immunity. I don't know. But it was already out that Diddy was paying the people to do the stuff. They should have got somebody. Yeah, the defense got their money. They good, but I think they could have did a better job. But that's Diva's opinion. Steva thoughts. Now, y'all know what I need in the chat, because I'm about to bring the people in the building. I need a what, y'all? I need a choo-choo. Hold aboard, everybody. It is Friday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. It's the title's called What in the World? The Diddy Trial, closing arguments from the defense, but then the prosecution had a chance to come back and rebuttal that thing, and they did. And we got the mom, like I said, giving the kids edibles. I mean, what in the world? Let me bring the people on in the building. Hey, Felicia. Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Julius. Yeah, Lakeisha, I don't know how
I'll hit the like button.
Oh, yeah, hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. You know, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I like the way, you know, when I'm doing these things, there's sometimes several articles that I could utilize to, you know, give the baseline for the story. Tonight, I kind of like the way that the Rolling Stones article broke this thing down. So we're going to look at their article for this particular situation. So Sean Combs' lawyer calls Cassie relationship the great modern love story in the closing argument. Mark blasts government's racketeering case as fake and exaggerated. So one day after the prosecutor called Sean Combs the vicious leader of a criminal enterprise, the music mogul's lead attorney, Mark, stood before a jury in Lower Manhattan Friday and said his client was simply living a colorful lifestyle filled with swinger relationships with loving girlfriends, hotel threesomes, recreational drug use, and some regrettable DV. Pacing and speaking with animated hand gestures and sarcastic tones, Mark blasted the government's case as fake and exaggerated. He said it was an overreaching attempt to criminalize his client's private sex life and claimed prosecutors were charging personal use of drugs and threesomes as racketeering. A seasoned criminal defense lawyer known for representing other high-profile defendants, such as Luigi Magino, he's representing him? Oh, I thought his wife was convicted sex cult leader Keith. Mark said Combs was hardly a crime boss, but rather someone who built wonderful, sophisticated, real businesses that have stood the test of time. Sean Combs has become something that is very, very hard to be. He's a self-made, successful Black entrepreneur, Mark said. Maybe Combs' former employees didn't always like him, but they loved him, the lawyer argued. Now, I will say this. At the end of most of their testimony, they did pretty much in a roundabout way showed by still staying in contact with him that they loved Diddy. With jurors sometimes laughing along with his lively performance, Mark scoffed at the government's focus on salacious details in the case. Boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets. He said, "Whoa, I feel better already," he said, referring to the Homeland Security agents who raided Combs' homes last year. Thank goodness for the special response team. They found the Astroglide. They found the baby oil. They found like 5 Valium pills. Way to go, fellas. He joked that America's streets are now safe and then turned to what he called the real trial. This isn't about a crime. This is about money, Mark argued, claiming Combs is the victim of shakedowns in civil court. He said jurors wouldn't even be hearing the case if Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassandra Cassie Ventura hadn't filed her bombshell sex trafficking in our lawsuit against Combs in November of 2023. The case settled within 24 hours, and jurors later learned Ventura received the settlement. She's sitting somewhere in the world with $30 million, Mark said of Ventura, referring to the $20 million settlement she received from Combs and the subsequent $10 million she received from the Los Angeles hotel where she was assaulted by Combs in 2016. Jurors heard evidence during the trial that security guards at the hotel accepted a $100,000 cash bribe from Combs to cover up the hallway surveillance video showing the assault. If you had to pick a winner in this whole thing, it's not hard to pick Cassie, Mark said. He described Ventura as an intense and unafraid woman who made her own decisions and was enthusiastic about her unorthodox sex life with Combs. He even called her gangster for having a burner phone to hide some of her commercial communications from Combs. Cassie's no joke, and that's why he loved her, the lawyer said. She matched him. She was like him. Mark called the couple's relationship a great modern love story. It was a stark statement given Ventura's 4 days of gut-wrenching testimony about the many times Combs allegedly beat her during their decade-long relationship. On the witness stand, Ventura described Combs stomping on her face in the back of an Escalade in 2009 and kicking and punching her repeatedly over the years. She said he also threatened to release her intimate videos, harm people she loved, and stifled her career to keep her under his control. But Mark didn't shy away from Combs getting physical with Ventura. He said the defense fully owned the fact that Combs was violent at times. He said any aggression was fueled by jealousy and claims of infidelity, not Ventura trying to free herself from the drug-filled threesomes with male escorts that the couple called freak-offs. Turning to the now infamous video of Combs' 2016 assault of Ventura inside LA's now shuttered Intercontinental Hotel, Mark claimed it was a clear example of a domestic fight, not a tortured escape from a freak-off. He said the video showed Combs trying to retrieve a phone that Combs was having a bad reaction to the drugs they ingested. According to Mark, messages leading up to the incident show Ventura was actively engaged in planning a freak-off and wanted to be there. But I thought that wasn't a freak-off night. But anyway, we'll continue. She's at a high level, he argued, claiming she enjoyed threesomes too. She's not clutching her pearls. He said the fact that Ventura returned to the suite afterward proved that room was not a scary place. In her testimony, Ventura said she only agreed to the freak-off at the Intercontinental because Combs made it clear he wanted one. And she was worried that if she said no, he would cause problems for her just days before the March 2016 premiere of her movie, The Perfect Match. As Mark worked Friday to dismantle the government's case, he claimed prosecutors failed to prove Combs had anything to do with the cocktail planning in Kid Cudi's Porsche in 2012 after Combs learned the fellow rapper was dating Ventura. Hold on one second, guys. Mark said it's true. Combs trespassed at Kid Cudi's house to confront him face to face weeks earlier, and he claimed that's more his style. He said Combs was a fighter who might engage in a good old-fashioned fist fight, but wouldn't take the cowardly step of plotting a car bombing. There's no evidence that he had anything to do with the Porsche, Mark said. He also claimed there was no way Combs would have released any freak-off video to hurt anyone. He said the recordings weren't degrading, but showed genuine intimacy, with everyone enjoying themselves. He said Combs was hardly the only man in America making homemade pee. Turning to Combs' relationship with victim 2 in the government's indictment, a model who testified under the pseudonym Jane, Mark said in the single mom liked the trappings of Combs' opulent lifestyle, including the luxury travel she could splash on her social media. He said Combs helped her financially after she got a pretty bad deal in terms of the child support paid by the father of her child. He's picking up the ball for someone who seems to have dropped the ball with his own kid, Mark said. The lawyer said the jury knew the identity of the child's father, though that information was not made public to protect Jane's identity. Mark claimed that, like Cassie, Jane enjoyed the threesomes with male escorts that Combs introduced in their relationship after they started dating in 2020. The lawyer accused Jane of lying when she testified, that Combs choked, kicked, and repeatedly punched her during a blowout fight in June 2024 that led into an allegedly forced freak-off. He says that Jane only initiated the fight, which involved Combs breaking down doors in her house because she knew Combs was under federal investigation. Is she looking to get a rise out of him? He asked. At one point Friday, when jurors were dismissed for a break, Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey complained to the judge about what she called Mark's deeply objectionable and wholly inappropriate commentary. Comey took issue with Mark characterizing some of Combs' alleged behavior as misdemeanor and said Mark was out of bounds when he urged jurors to question why the government was charging Combs with arson. She said that was misleading, considering arson is only one of the alleged predicate acts supporting the racketeering conspiracy charge. I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic, Mark responded when jurors returned. U.S. District Judge Iran told the panel it would be improper for them to consider prosecutors' charging decisions. Mark got in trouble again when he claimed the government targeted Combs. The judge said the comment was improper. Combs, 55, was arrested last September and has pleaded not guilty to 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of trafficking, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in P. If convicted as charged, he faces a minimum of 15 years and up to life in prison. Before Mark's presentation started, Combs' family members filed into the courtroom to lend support. Combs' son Justin arrived wearing a t-shirt that said "Free Sean Combs," a violation of courtroom rules. He quickly turned the shirt inside out to be present in the gallery for Mark's fiery address. As he worked to undermine the credibility of many of the government's key witnesses, Mark showed jurors an upbeat photo of Combs gathered with dozens of smiling employees, security staff, and friends. The photo had been posted on Instagram by former assistant who testified at trial under the pseudonym Mia. While Mia claimed Combs forced himself on her multiple times during her employment, including once when he allegedly armed her in a staff bunk bed at his house, Mark argued Friday that she was lying. He said the photo showed she was happy to be part of Combs' family. This is your racketeering enterprise, folks, Mark said as he mockingly referenced the happy photo. He said the image conjured words like joy, diversity, and belonging, not a brutal crime syndicate. Mark also claimed another former staffer, Capricorn Clark, lied when she testified that Combs kidnapped her at Pow Pow Point the day he allegedly broke into Muscatty's house. Mark said Clark would have taken a trip to the moon to please her boss, so there was no reason Combs needed to brandish a Pow Pow. As he wrapped up his presentation, Mark questioned why prosecutors never put any of Combs' alleged co-conspirators on the witness stand. People like the mogul's longtime chief of staff, Christina Quorum, are members of his security staff. If the individuals had information helpful to prosecute his case, the government could have granted them immunity or extended deals for cooperation. Nobody came into this courtroom and said, "I'm a member of an enterprise, and let me tell you how it worked," Mark argued. He claimed it was absurd to cast Combs as a mild-style kingpin with menacing henchmen doing his bidding. He said Quorum was a good person. She made sense. So it made sense Ventura called her for help one day when Combs was banging on her door. If John Gotti was at your door, would you call Sammy the Bull? He asked. Quorum is a very nice person. That's what the testimony has been. Mark urged jurors to do the right thing and acquit. I'm asking you to summon the courage and to do what needs to be done, Mark said. Return him home to his family, who has been waiting for him. In a final rebuttal, they gave prosecutors the last word in the case Friday afternoon. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey said it was preposterous for Combs to suggest he paid the male escorts for their time and not sex. He flew escorts across the country, watched them have sex while he pleasured himself, and then handed them cash, Comey said. And he claimed that the men who perform S acts for free doesn't even pass the laugh test. she said. Comey called it plain common sense that the escorts were hired for sex, not for their scantling conversation. Taking a dig at one of Mark's lines, she said it might be true that Combs preferred fistfights when it comes to his girlfriends, but the evidence showed he used pow-pows when it came to confrontations with men. She said Combs had a pow-pow when he allegedly kidnapped Capricorn Clark on his way to Muscotty's house, and she said Muscotty corroborated Clark's testimony. She was taken against her will. She also pushed back on the defense claim that Combs was a victim of false claims made by plaintiffs seeking money. She said Jane never sued and even had a financial incentive to stay quiet, considering Combs is still paying her rent. Ventura had her settlement money and a new family, so why would she risk it all by perjuring herself at a federal trial? Comey asked. She refuted the defense suggestion that jurors should separate the violence Ventura endured from the sex life she shared with Combs. She said the two things were interchangeable, that control did not just disappear when she walked into a hotel room, the prosecutor said. If anything, that gripe tightened when she was high, naked, and vulnerable. One thing she agreed with the defense, that Victoria is a strong woman. She had to survive her time with Combs and testify at trial, Comey said. This is not a woman out for vengeance or money, Comey argued. This is a woman standing up for what is right. Comey described Combs as a general who used his loyal lieutenants to do his dirty work. She said he acted so brazenly because he constantly got the message he was untouchable. And she noted the defense could have called Corbin to testify but didn't. Pointing to the evidence delivered over 7 weeks of the trial with 34 witnesses, she said it's clear Corbin used Combs' phones, lived in his house, and knew every detail of his life, including his $100,000 payment for the hotel video. She said Combs didn't act alone, so jurors should find him guilty of racketeering conspiracy. The defendant never thought the woman he abused would have the courage to speak out what he had done to them, she said. The defendant is not a god, he's a person. Find him guilty. Although Combs seemed to keep a confident composure throughout both sides' closing arguments, he appeared nervous ahead of Comey's rebuttal, taking a quiet moment to himself with his head bent and his hands covering his eyes. At the close, nearly an hour and a half later, Comey urged the jury to find him guilty. Combs' hands were trembling as he put his glasses away. As the gallery shuffled out of the room, he thanked his attorneys and sat back down, letting out a deep sigh and covering his face again. Jurors are expected to begin their deliberations on Monday. Whew. Felicia, your thoughts?
Good evening, everybody, and happy Friday. To God the glory, I'm not in that courtroom. I'm not part of this case. I don't do crack cocaine. I ain't hoeing out here for $2. I don't need to be on a yacht. I don't need to have luxurious clothing. I don't need a particular lifestyle to be at peace and comfortable with my own life. All of this is BS and more BS. And a lot of people should be locked up for having exposed me to it. Can't speak for the rest of you. Now, there was something that you read that the prosecutor, Ms. Comey, said about Ms. Corin. If you don't mind, can you read it again? What did she say? That you contacted her and what?
That the prosecutor said, no, the prosecutor said it did, because Mark said that they could have called her, but they didn't.
Right, they could have subpoenaed
her. In her rebuttal, she said they could have called her. They could have called her on the stand too, and they didn't.
Well, they wouldn't call Miss Corin. They're not stupid, so I wouldn't have called her either. But why didn't she call them? Why didn't the prosecutor?
She didn't answer that. She didn't answer that.
Here we go. More BS. You see the lies. They've been going on for over a year. So as we bring this matter to a close, I will say for the final time, there have been no minors. We didn't see a picture of a minor. A minor's name wasn't mentioned. There was no 9-year-old, no 12-year-old, no 15-year-old, no 17-year-old. There must have been for 6 months, every day, there was another minor found, someone who was trouble, someone who was in therapy. They were rehabbing people. They were consoling people. They were bringing in specialists. We have none of that. I don't know what to think about what's to come. As you said, right there in the Southern District of New York, we have Jonathan Majors running from Grace Jabari down the street, trying to save his life. And they found that man guilty. We know this criminal justice system is imbalanced. I'm noticing some folks in the chat want people to be next and who going to the jail next. Pray to God it ain't you. Pray to God it ain't you. Because that's where we're headed in this country. Everybody's going to get locked up. One of the things that they didn't talk about here, and I keep coming back to this, is this distribution of narcotics, of the substances, that there's allegedly no such thing as personal use. I mean, there was a lot said by the prosecution that in the event they get convictions on some of these charges, it's going to set precedents. And people really need to be concerned about what is coming, not necessarily what we're hearing here, because we know, I think the majority of us in this chat who have been following these legal suits, who have been listening to this testimony, we know that the people outright have lied. So now we know the truth don't matter anywhere. They went in there and took an oath, said they were going to tell the truth. And we got lies, and lots of them, and important lies. Okay? That Mia, they said she was deposed 27 times. She said the people was helping her to let her know what happened to her. What was her story? I mean, really? Deontay, I think, was 11 times. He smoked so much marijuana, so much weed, he couldn't stay clear. They had to keep letting him go out to go smoke and come back in. It took how many decades for us to finally learn that Capricorn Clark never, ever told law enforcement that she had been kidnapped and held at Pow Pow Point. And in the prosecution's closing, Ms. Slubnick says that Mr. Combs was downstairs knocking on her door with the Pow Pow, demanding that she come down because he was taking her to Mr. Cuddy's house. And then we have the defense. There was an excuse almost for everything outside of the video, you know. Well, he was trying to get his phone. How many months did we watch this video? Now I'm hearing, he went to go get his phone back from her. You had to do all that, sir, to get your phone back? Come on. No. So somewhere in between all of this horrid, ugly, dirty, dark, demonic stuff is the truth. I thank God I'm not a juror. And I'm going to tell you, based on my experience as a juror, the first thing they're going to do when they get in that room and can talk to each other, they're going to take care of number 7. Jurors number 7 going to catch hell next week. Okay? They're going to want to know who you texting, who you calling, and who have you been discussing this case with. Oh, yeah. He's not going to be trusted. And I don't know if they trust one another. And that's the one thing about when you come together as a group to determine to the best of each ability what is the truth and what is just and what is fair. And I really pray that they're able to do that. As for Mark, he did the darn thing today. The man broke the rules, went all out of the rule of law, took on the judge, pissed off the prosecution, got them women hot and mad. He was unethical. But he did what he had to do for his client. So I ain't angry with him because that's what I expect you to do. And that's what money is supposed to do, get you the best legal service you can. And that's what Mr. Combs' money did for him. He got a high-powered, very intellectual, strategic team of attorneys. Someone said, well, it didn't do him much good, and I disagree. There's so much doubt out here, doubt there. This one don't know, they're not sure, we can't say. And that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Create doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did it really well. Really, really well. I'm done.
Thank you. There is definitely a lot of doubt. It's just wondering how did this translate to the jury. Wayne, your thoughts?
You have to hear both sides. I see reasonable doubt all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely don't see how you're going to get 12 jurors to agree on any one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So after hearing that, that's what I think, I think Mr. Combs will leave with time served, especially the little closing part where he said, let Mr. Combs go home to his family. They're waiting for him. That was iconic, I thought. But I think he'll walk because I don't think 12 jurors are going to agree on either BS side. That's it.
Thank you, Katrina. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think he's going to be found not guilty. I think he's going to be found guilty. Because of the last words that the prosecutor left in the jury mind. And I don't even know why, because when the prosecutor lied when she said Cassie wasn't there for the money, that's a lie. So I mean, but I really think that he's going to be found guilty, but he's going to be pardoned on some of the things. I think they're going to they don't want to lose that much money on a case and for that person to not be found guilty. They want to find him guilty on something. Might not be everything that they got on him, but something they're gonna find him guilty on. And the only thing I can say is, Diddy was freaking what's up, but Diddy brought this on himself. People do what they want to do in their bedrooms, but you sit up there watching it. Why are you recording it? That's what gets people. They always want to record something. They always want to send a text. They always want to take a video. And don't they know that stuff can come back and bite you? You sit up there looking at it. You shouldn't have recorded it. Because what they doing, they playing everything that you did on the tapes. Even though I don't think they say we seen Diddy. They seen Diddy on the tapes or anything like that. But them tapes was played in there. And the people was looking at you like this man is a freak. But if the people participated in it, and they freaks as well. So don't come out here complaining about it now, because this is stuff that you did. And like you said, Diva, these people had their own places to live. And if he was going to put these tapes out on you, then you could have got him from extortion. Instead of saying that you waited all this time to say that's the reason why you didn't do anything because he said he was going to put the tapes out, but you still left the man and married somebody else. So I don't. It's not making any sense because if he's going to extort you with that, he could have did that and said, "If you leave me, if you don't come back, I'm going to put this tape out." But we never heard anything from this. So all of a sudden, now you saying you scared because he's going to put out the tape. But you had this conversation with him what 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and no tape. I don't know. Like I said, I think they're gonna find him guilty on some things because I don't see the state letting him go when they putting out all this money on like out there like that, and it's a high powered case. But there's some doubts there. But as we know, the jury do what they want to do. Sometimes they do it based on vengeance. Sometimes they do it based on who the people are. But I guess we'll see when they make their decision. But that's all I got, Diva.
Thank you. Julius, your thoughts?
It's up to the jury. And yeah, this whole case was a circus, a hot mess. It was all over the place. And I've been saying this a lot, but I am glad it is over. Hallelujah.
Oh, thank you, Julius. So, all I can say in this situation, time is going to tell. We only got 3 days because I don't think they're going to let this thing go past the 4th of July holiday. It's interesting. I learned a lot. I think that things happen different now for these high profile defendants because of social media. I honestly think they probably would have got away with more if the social media people that went down to that courthouse wasn't covering this thing. I think more would have went down that was more egregious in this case. I don't think the judge was fair. That's just a diva thought at all. I think everything that the prosecution asked for, they got, and everything that the defense, before they even get it out their mouth or try to ask for it, they didn't get it. Like, he was ripping his closing arguments, but like Mark said, I can't be sarcastic. No, that prosecution was pissy hot mad because that jury was enjoying Mark's performance. They enjoyed it. But I do feel like they should have did something. They should have did something more. Yeah, shout out to those YouTubers that stood on their line, was in the sun, the rain, whatever, the heat, and covered that thing from beginning to the bitter end. I ain't mad at them. They're needed in those streets. Regardless of what side they on or not on, they're needed in those streets. So we're not getting the flim flam. We're getting real time results of what's going on in that courtroom. And my thing is, there's a lot of people that are charged with stuff, and you may hate them. How we feel about somebody is not how you should convict them. Go ahead, Felicia. I see you want to say something.
Thank you, Diva. I wanted to ask Lady Love a question. What did the white woman say, girl, that you say is gonna be guilty? What she say?
What she's saying is that he was paying for prostitutes to go across state lines. Um I guess she was trying to say because he was using the money to pay for these prostitutes. I don't know. Like I said, this thing is so confusing, Felicia, because the prosecutor's lying too when she said it wasn't about money, and we already knew it was about money for Cassie. So that was a lie right there. They switching
Yeah,
it. They
that
switching
part I
it.
get. But she said something in the rebuttal that you knew and you understand that the jurors are going to say guilty because of all the money that they put out. And I want to know what you're talking
I'm
about.
talking about the state, how much it costs for them, the federal, how much it costs for them to put this case out there, to put it together, is what I'm
And you
saying.
feel that
I
the
don't think they're going to.
jurors are going to. So
Listen, I
you
think,
feel the
like I said, I
jurors are
don't
going
know.
to.
What I'm saying is the way I really don't think that they're going to find him innocent on all the charges that he got. I think they're gonna find him guilty on some of the charges he got. I don't think he's gonna get escape. I mean, I don't think he's gonna come out clean on all of them. What I'm saying is, I think they're gonna find him guilty on some of these charges, and the ones that they pick, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I don't think they're just gonna give him no clean slate. I might be wrong, and I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the
Yeah,
right I'm saying I'm gonna be right. I'm just saying I think some of the charges that he got, he gonna be found guilty on.
okay, and I'm listening, but what I want to really understand is how that woman's words impacted you so to believe such. That's what I'm wanting to understand here.
Because of the way that she was telling them, she was saying like,
Oh, okay.
okay,
So the way,
yeah,
the tone of her voice, how she,
yeah, and the way that she
but
was
I didn't
putting it
see,
out
I
there,
didn't get to hear any of the
like when she
audio.
was saying, okay, like, okay, but what I'm saying is the way that she was putting it out there when they was saying that why didn't they call Diddy assistant, and she was like, well, why didn't they call his assistant? I mean, it's just so much. I'm not saying that I'm right on all this type of stuff anyway. I'm just saying I just think because her last words was the last words that the jury hear before they go out and they go make a decision. Her last words is what left into their heads right now, is what I'm saying. And the way that she was putting it out there is like he was racketeering, he was paying for this, he was paying for that. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I'm just gonna be quiet because I don't know. But that's all. That's all I
No, no,
got.
I find it very interesting. So you were affected by who spoke last, who got to
Yeah.
close out for real, real, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something important that has
Yeah.
relevance.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was following it. I saw
Okay.
Miss Comey's, I read Miss Comey's rebuttal, but because I have been following, I think for me, because I have been following her questioning in her deposing of the witnesses, I have found her not to have that kind of credibility for me from 5 weeks ago. So anything that she probably would say thereafter, I'm not giving it any weight because I don't believe that she's honest. I don't believe that she's moving with integrity.
I none of them are. But like I said, I can't predict it. I'm just saying because he heard her words, and I get what you're saying because she lied in her closing statement anyway. When she talking about what like I just said when she was saying Cassie wasn't in there for the money. What I'm saying is what the jury is listening to because her last words. She had the last say, and that's the last thing that was on their mind. Listen to what how she did it. I'm not saying that they're gonna follow that. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying she was left with the final word, and the final word is what they heard last. But I don't know how it's gonna go. Like I said, I don't know how it's gonna go. So I really
Yeah,
don't want to
and
put
see,
nobody. You
and
know what I'm
I
saying? I
think,
don't want to put nobody life in my hands like that. I'm just saying, with these
and
people,
see,
you
but
can never
I
tell.
think, Katrina, you are a perfect example of what I was trying to say. That there is doubt out there at a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
doubt.
it.
Yes.
You, when you first spoke, you said, "Well, I think he's gonna be found guilty." Yeah, he's guilty. Just imagine we're sitting around the table now. We've gotten the charges. We're looking at it. You see how it shifts, how this energy is moving.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to be certain where they want to land. That's
Because,
what
like I said,
doubt
I'm
is.
listen. I'm saying I think that he's gonna be found guilty on some of the things. I'm not saying he's gonna be found guilty on all of them, but I think he's gonna be found guilty on some of them.
But you don't know which one.
Don't know which ones though. But
There
I
go
it's gonna be
doubt.
some.
There
Yeah,
go
there's
doubt.
doubt. Yeah, we that's what he
And
said. We say we
if
got doubt in there, but I think he's still gonna be. Listen, we all got doubts. Because we don't know what is inside these other people's minds, and that's what y'all saying with the reasonable doubt. Because we all do not know. We do not know how these juries are sitting up there thinking. We don't know what these jurors was thinking when they were sitting up there seeing these FO tapes. We don't know what's inside these jurors' head. So we can't say that I don't think he's going to be found not guilty. I don't think he's going to be found guilty because we don't know. But what I'm saying is I don't think that he's going to be found not guilty on all of this stuff. I'm not saying that he's not going to be found guilty on some of it. I just don't think that he's not going to be found guilty on all of it. That's what I'm saying.
So
But I don't know.
let me jump in and say this, Sheila. So Sheila, you come through, and I know how you feel about this. She said the moral of the story: don't be a degenerate, and you won't have any problems. But Sheila, I have to respectfully say that's not so. That's not so because it depending upon who's accusing you of what, you could be innocent, and they will label you a monster. So, but I will say this, you need to watch the company you keep. I told y'all I don't play games with the cell phone, and I don't even do nothing, and I don't play games with the cell phone. Not at all. I don't play no games. You ain't going to get me caught up or twisted up. Listen, Tyler Perry, I don't know what he did or did not do, but guess what? What he did do was play games with that cell phone, and now you're going to have people that can dissect it and figure out what it means, regardless of what you think it meant or didn't mean. When you, and another thing I can say is, when you are an employer and you have some employees, you can't cross the line. Miss Diva, why are you looking so mean? You must have had a long shift. Child, don't be surprised if they find him guilty. He's a black man with money, hoping everything goes well for him. Am I looking mean? I'm fine, actually. I had a good day. But thank you, Mitchell. But I just have to say this. You got to walk a fine line when you're an employer. You know, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. Even if you are a manager at the Starbucks, the Dunkin' Donuts, wherever, the Macy's, the clothing store, you can't cross the line. Because the minute an employee goes to HR, they looking at you sideways as the manager. Why did you text them that? Why did you say that? So there's lines you cannot cross. And that's why most jobs, they will tell you they don't want, they ask you on the application, do you have a relative working here? Do you know somebody that work here? And they tell you too that you can't be a manager of somebody you know. Yeah, this thing is a circus. It was a whole circus. But his life is on the line. And I think everybody has made it perfectly clear. This man was wrong for the DV. But whatever went on in his bedroom, his business. And I told y'all, and I'll say it again, and I feel like Mark should have said this in the closing arguments. Y'all tell me what video y'all saw that they showed you that he was shoving the substances down these people's throats. They got a lot of these S workers talking now. And all of them are pretty much just talking about marathon sexing. One of them said he finished with Cassie. No, I'm sorry, let me back it up. I think he said Jane. No, I'm backing up. I'm getting confused with them now. He said he finished with Cassie, and then Diddy went in on Cassie. And then when Diddy finished, he came back. And we know that nobody was using a condom because that wasn't part of the requirement. So it's a mess. So everybody's saying that something was proven. Only thing that was proven to me is that they videotaped the X-Force, the hotel nights, the freak-offs, whatever, the King's nights. They videotaped them. They destroyed hotel rooms. In these hotel rooms, should we not call them in for allowing the pee to go on in their hotel? Because it's so illegal, right? We want to get these people. Let's bring everybody in. But you know what the judge told the jury? Don't worry about who was not charged. Well, y'all calling this racketeering. You calling this RICO. You calling it an enterprise. We shouldn't worry that nobody else in the enterprise wasn't charged. Let me move on to this next story. This next story, this mom, she gives the kids edibles. You want to know how we end up with girls and boys who don't know their self-worth, who running around here doing the most, because it starts somewhere. It starts in that home. They got no counseling. Then they grow up and this type of stuff happens. The judge is a whole mess, the ringmaster. Yes, the judge is the ringmaster of it all. Let me share a screen. All right, I think this is it.
A Brooklyn woman is being held on a $25,000 bond after police said she gave her children marijuana. A judge found probable cause to charge 36-year-old Deanna Sue Woods with 12 counts of the introduction of a controlled substance into the body of another person and 12 counts of first-degree child endangerment. Woods is accused of giving marijuana and THC gummies to 3 of her 4 children, ranging in age from 6 to 15. The affidavit said Woods also allowed her 6 and 10-year-old children to smoke her vape pen. She reportedly told detectives that she did it to deter the children from smoking marijuana. Woods is set to be arraigned in court on February 28th. The judge also ordered her to have no contact with the children.
Okay, wait 1 second. Yeah, why the escort's not in jail? Tell me about it. They too busy out here in these streets doing interviews with everybody that would speak to them. Arkansas mom who gave children ages 6 to 15 marijuana, edibles, and vape pen gets jail time. Deanna Sue Woods, 36, allegedly told a detective that she gave her children edibles while also letting them use her vape pen to deter them from using Mary Jane. A judge in Arkansas sentenced a mother to 120 days in prison after she allegedly admitted to giving her children Mary Jane. Deanna Sue Woods, 36, was arrested back in January after a worker with the Department of Human Services spoke with her 6-year-old daughter and learned that the mother had been allowing her children to ingest MJ and THC edibles, according to a copy of the probable cause affidavit obtained by People. That child was then drug tested and found to have the THC in their system, at which time the DHS contacted a detective with the Brookland Police Department, according to the affidavit. Woods was then taken into custody the following day by that detective, and according to the affidavit, allegedly agreed to speak with him after being informed of her Miranda rights. Detective Dustin Norwood wrote in the affidavit that Woods told him she had given her 3 children, ages 6, 10, and 15, both honey and chocolate with THC. She also allegedly said that she allowed the 6 and 10-year-old children to use her vape pen. The affidavit also said that Woods allegedly admitted to smoking MJ around her 1-year-old toddler and used the substance herself while she had been breastfeeding that child. Woods agreed to write down her statement according to the affidavit and was then charged with 12 counts each of endangering the welfare of a minor in the first degree and introduction of a controlled substance into the body of another person. She says she did this to deter her children from using MJ, according to the affidavit. Police booked her into jail, where she spent 60 days before posting bail. Woods will now serve another 60 days after being sentenced to 120 days in jail following a hearing on June 25th, where she agreed to enter a guilty plea to 1 count of each charge. She will also have to take parenting and substance abuse classes and is to have no contact with her children unless she has the approval of their guardian and DHS. Unbelievable. Felicia, your thoughts?
I thought the punishment has fit the crime. I love the sentencing. 120 days in jail, you do the rehab, take parenting classes. You can't be around your kids without getting approval and permission. Clearly, the woman has an addiction problem. She's had it for some time. They said the oldest child is 15. So she's been doing it for over a decade. And no one has said anything. And when I say the term no one, no mother, no father, no sister, no brother, no neighbor, nobody. Those kids had to suffer, the bigger ones, most of their life with a mother who is addicted. There's no judgment here because, listen, I want her to go get help. But the more stories we cover, the more we learn about all these substances. Everybody's on this stuff. They want to be on this stuff. They want to have the freedom, make this free, make that free. Mind your business. And here we are. So, yeah, lock her up. Let her go do detox in the jail, come out, let her have to do the Jonathan Major stuff, do therapy 4 days a week, okay? Let her get drug tested, take parenting classes, and maybe you can earn the right once again to be in the company of your children. No empathy here. I'm done.
Thank you. Wayne, your thoughts?
Them kids going to have to go to rehab to get detox and some deep therapy. Because you just can't come off that stuff like that. Just like they don't have it no more. So they're gonna really have to get deep. Go to rehab and get detox. That's it.
Thank you. Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts are like when you have a child, and I'm quite sure she was smoking while she was pregnant. I'm not saying she is, I'm not saying she wasn't, but for her to have that addiction like that, there's no way that she wasn't smoking when she wasn't pregnant.
Mm,
And a lot of women, when they go through that, a lot of black women, they want to take their kids away from them if they're caught with that in their system. So I'm just baffled that they didn't do no drug test on her. Because most of the time, when you have a baby, they run all kinds of tests. And for her to keep her kids and stuff after she had the baby and went home, I find it so. Well, now it done caught up with her. So, but like I said, I see it all the time that black women goes in there, they smoking whatsoever, they ready to take those kids right then and there. But as Felicia and Wayne said, yes, she need to be locked up. And yeah, the kids, they's on THC, which is not everything that's combined with the cannabis or whatsoever. So they might have an easier way of coming off, but yet and still, she need to be locked up. She need parenting classes, and once she get through with those parenting classes, Felicia, she has the option. Or once she get through doing rehab, whatever she doing, she has the option of getting her kids back. She can say, "Well, I've been off for this amount of time. I've been off for this amount of time," and she might have to fight the courts, but from my understanding and what I do know, more than
She should
likely
get them back.
she'll get them back. Yeah, she'll get them back. But that's all I got, Diva.
mm. Julius, your thoughts?
If she shows a clean slate with getting into rehab, cleaning up her act, she has to prove it by her actions. They do, after a while, start with visitation, and then she could regain custody. But she has to want it. That's the thing about it. She has to want it, so it's on her.
Mm. Um, I don't know. I feel this to be, yes, she got a problem, but I feel this to be a bigger problem than what I feel like the courts really saw for what it was. You smoking around the 1 year old. You smoking while you was breastfeeding the 1 year old. So the whole house is hooked. You giving the 6, the 10 year old, and the 15-year old substances. And to me, you probably was giving it to them so everybody could fall asleep and you could run the streets. To me, this is high level child endangerment. This is crazy. In 120 days, I think is nothing. Those are
And
my.
then I'm sorry, Diva.
Go
And
ahead.
then what they're gonna do to wean this baby off? Because if she's smoking and this baby's getting taking it in through the breast milk, this baby's gonna have to be weaned off this stuff. Because it's just like a woman when she's smoking. The baby comes out, the baby be crying for a cigarette because they want that nicotine as well. So if she's smoking and she's breastfeeding this child is getting this in her system. So, or this baby's getting this, I don't know if it's a girl or boy, whatever, but they're getting it in their system, and they're gonna need to be weaned off of it because their body is used to it. So what they're gonna do with the baby? Because the baby gonna have to be weaned off.
They
Because
they
if
have
she,
they have ways to wean the kids
yeah,
off.
that's what I'm saying. The baby gonna have to be weaned off because the
But
baby
not just the
system is
baby, all the kids.
all of them, yeah. But the baby, this, the kid when the folks come in, they smoking cigarettes and whatsoever. They have to wean those baby out because the baby be crying for the nicotine, and that's a sad situation. But
Yes.
I feel you on that one, Deep. I really do. But that's
Yeah,
all I got.
this is horrible. To Amy and Fancy, my heart is with y'all. And it seems like the individuals that are like just birthing centers, so to speak, can have kid after kid after kid. It's the oddest thing, but yeah, this to me it was a lot. When I read this, I'm like 120 days. I just hope the kids are in good hands. I hope the kids, maybe their father or their father family or somebody, the kids are with them and not in the system, potentially being, continuing to be abused. My heart goes out to these kids. But listen, guys, Y'all know the routine. I appreciate y'all being here. Is listen, whatever day this verdict comes back, it's going to be a polarizing day. It's going to be a lot.
Diva, what happened to your closing argument?
No, I'm
Yeah, what
working
happened?
what do you mean? What happened?
Yeah, what
Because
happened to the
not-
polar? I mean, I want to know why you think it's going to be polarizing.
Oh, the day the verdict comes out?
Yeah.
Because I think no matter what the verdict is, you're going to have strong feelings on both sides, because there's strong feelings on both sides now. There are people, just because of the hotel video of the beating, that are 10 toes down that this man should be up underneath the jail. And then you have the other side that said, listen, this is not about that. This is about the fact that they didn't prove their case. So Henry Langston, have you ever seen anything like this in your career as a nurse? I did pediatrics. Absolutely, I have. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, when your baby is born like that, they automatically take your child away from you. And they have ways to wean the child off before they let them out the hospital. But those babies, they do suffer. They suffer and they cry all day long, some of them. Especially depending upon what the mother was on while she was carrying them. Some of them suffer worse than others. But they do have a way to wean these kids off. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Felicia.
No, I was interested in what you just said, because you said, well, people saw the video. He wasn't charged with domestic violence. He wasn't charged with that.
These people don't care.
Well, they'll get over it real quick when they find out that he wasn't charged with that. I don't think.
They know that. And the reason why I'm saying this is, week after week since this trial started, underneath my video, there have been people that have been screaming and kicking like, Diva, have you not seen the video of him beating Cassie? He's a monster. He's this, he's that. There are people, even some of these, when I watch some of these news clippings, because I watch a lot to determine what am I going to pull in as we talk about, the story or what happened for the day. A lot of them keep referring back to, this beating, the video of him beating Cassie. And Nancy Grace, I can't take her. I don't even listen to anymore. I X out as soon as I see some of her commentary, because she's over the top. She was like, what if Cassie was your daughter? Well, there are a lot of women out here that are not getting compensated at the level of $30 million, $10 million, or even $1 million, that are going through, and there's somebody's daughter that are going through what Cassie has been through or worse. So, I mean, it's a lot. So what I'm saying is, when the verdict comes out, the internet is going to crash. Bernita, that's my point. Yeah, I feel that way too. No matter what side of the coin this thing lies on, there are strong feelings out there for both sides of this case. Yeah, Fancy, has been a mess. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said from the onset, and I still stand there. Let's be into the facts and not our feelings. If you're into the facts, you're into the facts. If you're all into your feelings, and you're going to be, emotional. I'm not going to be polarized one way or the other. These people, they made choices. Those choices came with consequences. And this is where we're at. I just don't see.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just don't see that why we, the public, need to be feeling separated or apart. And like you said, God bless the YouTubers who are out there in that hot sun on those rainy days. They're the ones who brought us the truth. They're the ones who brought us the stories. They're the ones that gave us the details. Because this court system, this federal court system, they don't want cameras in there because they don't want you to hear the truth. They don't want you to be seeing the truth. So So let's celebrate that. Let's get with the positive of that. Because this is a wonderful thing for me to know what the testimony was, what the witness said. Because based on the 6 months preceding this, I thought we were going to hear horror stories to break my heart. Children who'd been missing, harm, hurt, abuse. None of that. These was old crackheads, hoes, pimps, and prostitutes. This is what this was about.
Oh, for sure. You know I'm in agreement with you, but I have also seen the other side.
These people probably haven't been following the facts. They're all into their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the facts. Someone asked, well, how come these escorts haven't been picked up and locked up? I would agree. But I understand that this company that they went to hire these entertainers is a legal business. They're legal employees. They get 1099s. So the business isn't going to shut down. They're still working tonight. That's what Mark said, right? Mark said, hey, these escorts are out working tonight. Please send my client home.
And it's facts.
Right. So,
it is facts.
It's I think it's incredibly difficult for some people to think that some human beings would sign up to be treated and demoralized and devalued like this. And I'm not just talking about the women, I'm talking about the men too. And perhaps I'm a little bit more sensitive about it because of how I love and adore and appreciate my sons. I value my children, all of them. So to me, that's heartbreaking, that this is the industry that you're in, that you would be involved in something where you're now talking about, well, everything seemed cool to me. What I understood something like that to be would be grape. It would be somebody running a train on somebody. But this is what you do because, as one of them said, we were in a very expensive hotel. And for those of you who didn't hear me, and anyone who knows me knows I love a fabulous hotel, but I'm not going to any of those hotels anymore. They can give me the room for free. And I'll say, no, thank you. Because these hotels, as Diva said, is engaging in prostitution. So when Ms. Comey is talking about, well, we want this and we want that, bring them all in. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. Why did she not subpoena Ms. Cora? She was the one who allegedly, according to these civil suits, was inserting IUDs and doping people up. And she made Diva wear a backpack, and Wayne had to wear a backpack. And at any time, Mr. Combs said, I need some, you were supposed to dig in the backpack and give him some substances. And all those little fanny packs, pardon me, they would be distributed every day to the staff by Christina Cora. That's the story we were told. So no, I hope, and I'm glad you said it, and I'm going to pray that there's no polarization on the streets, that we celebrate the YouTubers. We celebrate the fact that we could come together in a medium that didn't exist for any other trial like this for us. To really understand what was going on, who came in to testify, who talked, who said what. So no, I wish everyone the best, and I'm praying for the truth, and I'm praying for justice. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm praying for the truth and justice too. But like I said, you got so many people out here just, this thing is gonna be a lot. For instance, let me just show you this. But I've seen many things. Let's listen to her.
Nowadays says the answer should be what was proven by the prosecution, the law. And that's conflicting to what I want personally. I think that I was hoping that we would be like slam dunking today. It's not going to be, I don't feel it's going to be a walk away with nothing at all. If it is, I'll leave the country tomorrow because that's scary. Did they convolute enough things to make one of the sex trafficking charges more difficult? Yes. I think Cassie's sex trafficking charge is guilty. The transporting people, guilty. It's just right there and we don't need to have a discussion about it. It's right there on the table. Those two counts are guilt. I think one sex trafficking will go. I think the other won't, and possibly it shouldn't. Maybe they needed to put someone else there in her place. I don't know. And RICO, I believe it's a RICO organization. I believe it was an organization of people that were working together, knowingly committing crimes. I would like him to be found guilty on what the prosecution proved. Personally, I believe he's guilty of all of the charges. I don't know if the prosecution proved it without a doubt, though. What I hope the jury decides is a complicated question because the rational justice side of me that leads a good amount of what I do nowadays says the answer should be what was proven by the prosecution, the law.
So it's funny to me, everybody that I see that's kind of responding to this thing, they're all confused. This wasn't proven, that wasn't proven. But although they're confused about what was or was not proven, at the end they say, I want him to be found guilty. It's like none of them want justice in terms of the way justice should be in the court. Reasonable doubt means you got to say not guilty. And all of them know in their right mind that that prosecution did a piss poor job and didn't prove anything. But yet at the end, they're still like, but I want him to be found guilty. Listen, we're going to see how this thing turns out. I'm waiting. She is bitter. See, but you know what happens sometimes with people in general? They reflect on their life. And instead of letting some things go, they get mad that, oh, I wish when I was at that job, I would have spoke up. But now you 5 jobs later. In my mind, let it go. Just do better moving forward. Oh, I wish I didn't lay down and do the hotel nights, the King's nights, or the freak offs for $10,000 a shot when I heard baby girl was getting $300,000. Now you bitter and you pissed. Oh, how am I here doing the most for him and I can never go to Thanksgiving or Christmas, but afterwards he calls me for a freak off and his other girl is sitting at the table with Thanksgiving and Christmas and was with the kids. That's what the real problem is. They was down with the get down. But then when they found out somebody was getting compensated better than them, that's when all heck broke loose. Capricorn Clark, you mad because you coming downstairs and you can't get no turkey bacon. I stayed up for days. He told me to try this. It's no different than somebody telling me try a piece of chicken. I'm like, but I don't eat chicken. They like, Diva, try it. Then I say, okay. There's a lot of things where you just got to say no. Go ahead, Felicia, and then I'm closing this thing out.
I know, but Diva girl, when you brought that up, you gotta listen. Let's keep it in the realms of the economics. Mm-hmm. Capricorn Clark as an assistant was getting $60,000. Christina getting $600,000, and Capricorn Clark is running clients in a boat, and they're telling her to stay on the island with no bottled water and no air conditioning. Yes, it's going to make you angry because you think you were getting paid. And it turns out you weren't getting paid. You couldn't get any turkey bacon. And when you were supposed to be covering for the girlfriend and everything got blown up, you got let go. You got let go and she got to stay. Yes. 60,000 and 600,000.
A major difference.
Major difference.
Major difference. And they all got mad when they found out who was getting what versus the other. You said KK is next on trial. They're not bringing KK in that courtroom. Now that I'm 10 toes down on. They're not bringing KK in that courtroom. They're not going to charge anybody else. And the reason why they're not going to charge anybody else is because they never had enough evidence to even go against Diddy. And they don't want another circus on their hands. They know this was a circus, but how do you come to us, the people, after you put on 7 weeks of a circus? You done spent $500 million. How do you come and tell us we made a mistake? You don't. So you try your best to plug the holes and clean it up and tell the jury you didn't hear and see what you saw from them people. If you have this, all you need is one pill and you can call that RICO and racketeering and all of that. Now they want to talk about there's no such thing as personal use. They didn't find kilos in his house. What they found in abundance, not the substances, what they found in abundance was baby oil and Astroglide. They didn't even find the weapons in abundance. But they want to tell us when he went to do this, he used this and this, that. Where is it? And yes, Jane wanted Carisha's status level. She wanted those perks. She wanted to go to the Met Gala. She wanted to go to Turks and Caicos. And she wanted that $300K that girl got on the show and bragged about that she was getting per month as an allowance. And when Jane heard that, she lost her natural mind. And you want to know why she lost her natural mind? Because her baby daddy played her and barely gave her any child support. Then she thought she won up when she got with Diddy, only to find out that she was still low level. She was Section 8. And Carisha was a luxury. And she got pissed. Listen, it is what it is. I'm out. KK cannot be on this trial. She will just incriminate herself. KK, I don't think she would incriminate herself. I think she would have lied because she came out on her Instagram and she had finally spoke out. She said she ain't see nothing. She didn't know nothing. All she did was her job. And guess who also said that? What is his name? Brendan Paul. He came through in the building to let the people know he's nobody's drug mill. And that's what KK would have said. I ain't nobody flunky. I didn't do nothing. I didn't see nothing. And I don't know what they're talking about. If KK would have got called, the circus would have really went down. Because she would have sat up in that booth and just lied like the rest of them. Because everybody lying anyway. Because like Felicia said, half of their witnesses, they had to speak to them 99 times to remind them this is what happened to you. They told them what happened to them. So the prosecutors had to tell you what happened to you, but now you want a jury to say that happened to they miss me with the nonsense. I got to go. Listen, people, y'all know the routine. If you ain't hit that like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow night for Trending Topics. Choo choo.